on West Florissant, dozens of police agencies have descended upon the area. News 4 has live team coverage tonight of the mob scene on West Florissant near Canfield. News 4's Brittany Noble in the middle as the violence began. Brittany.
Well, Sharon, I was on West Florissant and Canfield, but my photographer Alonzo and I had to get out of the area. While shooting interviews and video, we found out our window had been broken into. Not just this window, but there was also a window in the back of our live truck. So again, we got out of there concerned for our safety, but we were there at the beginning of that visual on Canfield and again West Florissant. There were thousands of people marching. Then the crowd became violent. People started surrounding police cars, hoping to intimidate officers who eventually drove away. I did speak with a 13-year-old Aja Blackwell. She lives in that neighborhood, and she simply told me she was scared. What are you seeing? You said you're scared. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing people doing stuff like breaking into stores and stuff and just doing bad stuff.
What stores did they break into?
Quick Trip.
What did they take out? Did you see them run out with anything?
Everything. They destroy everything.
You're saying that people are getting disruptive. What was happening?
Well, you know, it's not the family, because I'm part of the family. But the people up there started throwing bottles. They caused the police to come down here. It was supposed to be peaceful. That's not peaceful, throwing bottles and beer cans and stuff like that.
I've been reaching out to the Ferguson police chief. He has been helpful all weekend long with News 4. I want to know his plans to control the crowd, so I will continue to have updates online and on air. KMOV.com. Live in North County, Brittany Noble, News 4.
Now, all of the chaos incited by the officer-involved shooting that claimed the life of this young man. He has a name. It is trending around the country tonight. 18-year-old Mike Brown, the unarmed teen, shot and killed by Ferguson police. News 4's Chris Stanford just left the area for safety purposes as well. He is live tonight on West Florissant, a mile north of Canfield right now. Chris, where were you before when you had to move?
We were right where Brittany Noble was, right there in that Canfield area, right by that Quick Trip where some looting has happened. Let me give you a look here down West Florissant. You're facing south, and that's where police have blocked off the street, where we saw a lot of garbage strewn about the road. And one thing we saw about that Quick Trip was the word snitches spray painted on the Quick Trip sign. We had to escape, get a little bit out of harm's way after we packed up our things. We're here getting our bearings, putting together some more live reports, and we hope to have those for you shortly. Here on News 4 at 10, reporting live in Ferguson tonight. Chris Stanford, News 4.
All right, as we said, we have reporters throughout the Ferguson area. More video just sent into our newsroom of the scene in Ferguson. Hundreds of people flooding the streets. Police desperate to gain control here. Now, the situation has indeed escalated. Many had feared exactly this. Our Julian Johnson is live from a parking lot in Ferguson. Julian.
And Sharon, this is all at the intersection of Lucas and Hunt and West Florissant. Police have this intersection shut down in this area. We're still trying to figure out if this is a proactive move or a reactive move to some of the violent demonstrations that we've seen out here. I want to bring in Darlene Kahn. Darlene, you said you were a part of some of the protests today that were expected to be nonviolent. Tell me a little bit about how things made a turn for the worst.
I really don't know how it got worse. We were actually up in Canfield for the candlelight vigil, and it was very nice. It was thousands and thousands. It was about a little bit over 1,000 people maybe there, and it was really nice. So they started marching down West Florissant, and I really don't know what happened. I was at the end of the group, but I don't know. I think what I'm hearing or what I heard at the back was the police started shooting bullets and people just started running. And things just got chaotic from there.
You said you saw about 1,000 people rush forward?
Yeah, the people that were marching just turned around all of a sudden and started running back. You know, at first I thought the police were coming after us, but I think it was just the police maybe shooting rubber bullets to scare the crowd. So everybody just started running. There were kids getting, stepped on, just massive amount of people running. And
you said they were also throwing bottles and stuff like that?
Well, no, they went to the Quick Trip. A group of kids went to the Quick Trip and just started tearing up the Quick Trip, and the police just started speeding up and down and with the bullets, and it was bad. It started out to be a peaceful protest, and it got bad. It got
Do you think some of this was maybe planned by some people who may have come out here with the intention of starting trouble?
I don't know.
More video flooding into our newsroom of the chaos that has broken out in Ferguson tonight. What was supposed to be peaceful protests, candlelight vigils, well, it has turned into something much more. Our own crews, as we said, forced to leave the scene where 18-year-old Mike Brown was killed. Let's go back to Julian Johnson on scene at a parking lot in Ferguson. Julian, what do you have now?
Okay. So as you heard there, this demonstration started with the intention of being nonviolent, quickly turned violent for whatever reason. As I said, this is the intersection here of Lucas and Hunt and West Florissant. Police have this area shut down. We're told that there is a command center within this plaza here. We're going to make a move from this location into the plaza to speak with police, try to get a better idea of exactly what's going on. Sharon, let's get it back to you.
Tension continues to escalate. Again, here's a look at what our news van looks like right now. Windows busted out. Our crews are safe, but they were forced to flee the scene. Now, News 4 has continuous coverage of this situation, and as the temperature continues to rise, count on us to bring you exactly what's happening. Much more right after a short break.
You're watching News 4, watching out for you.
Welcome back. Here are the latest pictures from the son of one of our photographers. Bradley Rayford is in Ferguson tonight, and he is documenting the scene of Mike Brown's death, a candlelight vigil. It turned into a violent mob scene. News 4's Julian Johnson has been outside of the Ferguson Police Department all day, and Julian breaks down exactly where this investigation stands right now.
With the investigation still very much in its initial phase, St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar says he could only give limited information about a police shooting that left a teen dead and a community outraged.
They're only the scene one time, and there were a lot of folks down there. Their emotions were running very high.
At a Sunday morning press conference, Belmar described how 18-year-old Michael Brown and the unnamed Ferguson police officer got in a struggle over the officer's gun. At least one shot was fired inside the car. When Brown tried running off, officials say the officer hopped out and fired on the teen, who did not have any weapon.
There were more than a few shell casings recovered. I cannot say at this time how many times the subject was struck by gunfire. It's hard to know. It was more than just a couple.
We've learned the officer at the center of all this is a 6-year veteran of Ferguson PD. The department is letting St. Louis County lead the investigation, a move Chief Belmar commends.
I would not imagine that anybody would do that if they felt like they had anything to hide, or in fact did not want the investigation to be looked at independently.
Investigators are also calling for anyone with video of the incident to contact them, since Ferguson police cars do not have dash cameras. All findings will then head to county prosecutor's office for any potential criminal charges.
Now, protesters say they will be here yet again tomorrow morning at the scene, 10 a.m. There will also be another press conference with police giving us the latest details. Of course, we'll have both covered for you. Now, I'd like to take a moment to introduce some guests we have in our studios tonight, people in our community. Boogie D, the operations manager at 104.1, 95.5 radio. Charlie Tuna is a longtime St. Louis radio personality watching the situation unfold with us. And I'd like to start with you, Charlie. Some argue that urban radio has more than just the pulse of a community here, that urban radio is driving this call to action.
It may be driving this call to action, but I don't think urban radio always, and I hate to upset my guest to the side, I don't think urban radio also helps the situation sometimes with some of the music that we play. So I don't even want to put urban radio in the middle of this right now.
All right, well, whether you want to put it there or not, it does seem, Boogie D, that Urban Radio is in the middle of this, a call to action, a place for people to go to find out what they can do more of. How are you driving this, and is it the right thing to do?
Well, right now the answer is yes. You know, yesterday, we stopped the music on Hot 104.1. And we opened up the phone lines for people to discuss this. And first and foremost, let me say I need people to go home right now. Leave the Ferguson area in peace. Go home right now. What you're doing is not true justice for Mike Brown or for his family.
And that's not the first time you said that.
And we're saying it right now. We're on the radio right now. I just got off the air right now. Once again, open up the phone line. So Urban Radio does have a platform to get this message out.
Beyond the music, Charlie Tuna, as we look at this live picture, Ferguson tonight, what do you think Black radio can do to help the situation, to ease tension?
What he said is true, but let me say this. When you have these small municipalities here in the St. Louis area, it's nothing but trouble. Most of these, I've been doing this for a long, long time, over 40 years. Most of these offices in these small municipalities have been rejected from larger St. Louis City, St. Louis County, Highway Patrol. I'm right down to this day, as old and young as I am, I'm afraid to go into these communities. I'm not shocked this has happened.
It sounds like you're arguing that these smaller municipalities didn't just perhaps affect this tragedy, the shooting, death of Mike Brown, but also the reaction to it, not equipped to handle it.
Not equipped to handle it at all. They brought in help immediately. But this is not shocking to me. I thought it was going to happen before now. And it's going to happen again here in the St. Louis area. See, St. Louis has never faced the race problem one-on-one. Never, never. This is probably the first time they've had it. We've never had any type of riot here, nothing like this, which you don't condone at all.
Not at all.
This is the first.
But I do agree.
Is this a race problem, or is it a distrust of police problem, or a marriage of the two?
It's a combination of everything, and I agree that we have too many sub-police departments here in the St. Louis City and County, and that causes a lot of issues. And I agree that sometimes I believe in my heart that a lot of these officers that are in some of these subdivision police departments may not have been the best candidates. They might even try to get on the city or the state, couldn't make it, go to these police departments. Also, they don't live in the community. So you're asking guys to come in and guys and women to come and police an area that they don't even live in. So the people don't look like them, don't act like them, they don't know how to treat them. And what started all this is that a young man, an 18-year-old, was killed yesterday, and all the real story that we're getting is that he was walking home from the store.
Okay, and I want to make an important distinction here tonight. We worked hard to try to get some police presence here with you all tonight. We couldn't get anyone in. We made multiple calls all night long. I want you to speak to the race issue, because there's some in our audience who don't understand the lack of trust that young African-American men and women have with police.
Well, I'm going to tell you what they do quite often. Let's go on Lucas and Hutton Highway 70 right now. If you go there in the morning time, they have radar cameras set up for people, poor black people, going to work in the morning time. They don't do that in other communities. It's on Highway 70 by in the St. Anne's area. It's something like that. It's just the way they treat some of these people.
All right, and there you see it. Police on the scene trying to keep calm. We saw EMS trucks there as people continue to protest, many of them peaceful, many are not. Much more on that. I want to thank you both for coming in, and the discussion will continue.
We appreciate it.
Now, the perimeter around the Canfield Green Apartments in North St. Louis County, it has attracted hundreds of protesters and police in just the past 24 hours. Officers in bulletproof vests, police dogs, all of them being used to control emotional crowds, and the SWAT team in riot gear. At least 15 police agencies, we've learned, have descended upon the area. Now, at the core of the community's outrage and a police force on defense, there is a family, Mike Brown's, demanding to know much more about how this happened and why he lost his life. His mother, Leslie, devastated. She spoke with News 4 just hours after her son was shot dead in the street.
You took my son away from me. You know how hard it was for me to get him to stay in school and graduate? You know how many black men graduate? Not many. Because you bring them down to this type of level where they feel like I don't got nothing to live for anyway. They're going to try to take me out anyway.
So you see it there, mother's grief, but also her suspicion of authorities. It is something we've heard over and over again in the past 24 hours. Our Brittany Noble standing by live once again. Brittany, bring us up to date from your vantage point.
Well, Sharon, of course, I wanted to go live from Canfield and West Florissant. We had to leave that area. It became just too unsafe. Our live truck windows were knocked out. I showed you that earlier. Now I'm on West Florissant near 270. I want to show you something. You see more emergency vehicles there, right there at 270 in West Florissant. That looks like they blocked off more of the street. West Florissant police have blocked off an even larger area, trying to keep people from going down there. That's the area that we left where the riots were happening. I have been calling the Ferguson police chief, trying to get updates. I want to know what his plan is to control the crowd and what we can do, what News 4 can do to help calm everybody down. So I have been reaching out to him. I'm still waiting to get that information. So Sharon, feel free to come back to me for updates. Live in North County, Brittany Noble, News 4.
All right, much more to come. Reaction from the NAACP. Al Sharpton is on the way to our area. As we said, we'll continue coverage of Mike Brown, the shooting death, coming up. The NAACP of St. Louis County says they are launching their own investigation tonight into this shooting. County NAACP President Esther Haywood sat down with us last night, insisting the NAACP will do everything in its power to get the details related to this shooting from Ferguson Police and St. Louis County. But right now, as the situation escalates, there are definitely fears of dangerous repercussions.
It's a frightening thing to think about what might be happening behind this. With all the youth out there tonight and their little friend is dead. And they had no business calling in 100 policemen. I understand they called in over 100 policemen. And they have riot gear and everything there. So they're anticipating big things.
Tonight, civil rights activist Al Sharpton is en route, as I said, to our area. He says he has already spoken to Michael Brown's family, and he plans to be here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Sharpton calling the shooting, quote, very disturbing, and he adds he wants a fair investigation.
If anybody have any information about what happened, keep a copy of it, but turn that information over to the investigation so they have a full disclosure of what took place.
And there you heard County Executive Charlie Dooley also monitoring the Michael Brown case. Dooley was outside the Ferguson Police Department. This was shortly after this morning's press conference from police. He urged protesters right there to stay calm. And right now we continue to monitor the situation very closely.
Sharon?
All right, Kristen, we continue to stay on top of the details flowing from Mike Brown's shooting death in Ferguson. Right now, live picture, Ferguson, West Florissant. We're live with team coverage coming up right after the break. Stay with us. Our News 4 crews have been posted up near West Florissant and Canfield Drive since the shooting of Mike Brown happened. Now this morning, our first opportunity to hear from St. Louis County PD, that agency now in charge of the investigation. Here's their take preliminarily on how this officer-involved shooting went down.
There was a struggle over the officer's weapon. There was at least one shot fired within the car. After that, the officer came back out of the car. He exited his vehicle, and there was a shooting that occurred where the officer, in fact, shot the subject, and the subject, they were fatal injuries.
And now back live to our Julian Johnson from a parking lot in Ferguson. And Julian, from your vantage point, do police seem to have the situation better under control?
Sharon, that seems like that's something that they're working on at this point. We're standing inside the parking lot here at the plaza at the boulevard. And as you can see behind me, officers right now are gathering in force. There are several dozen police cars out here. We've seen units from St. Louis County, Country Club Hills, as far away as Chesterfield. State Police is out here as well. Berkeley's out here, and several canine officers from various jurisdictions. Also, since we've been out here, we've heard about 3 to 4 separate incidents of gunshots. So we're trying to stay far away from that as of right now. Officers we've seen out here putting on riot gear. We've talked with witnesses as well who said that this whole thing turned violent when officers started firing rubber bullets when this was supposed to be a peaceful protest. We're told that some of the protesters possibly started throwing bottles as well. When all that started happening, I'm told that kids were being trampled in the area, and a group of men, I'm told, also targeted a Quick Trip nearby and started damaging that store. So right now, we're still awaiting to speak with police and try to figure out exactly what their plan of action may be to get a better handle on things. That's coming up as we get more information. Sharon, back to you.
All right, Julian, thanks so much. And we want to update you on some other news happening in our area. But right now, News 4 has been speaking with community leaders tonight, gauging their reaction to this tumultuous situation. On the phone is the Urban League president, Michael McMillan. And Michael, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sharon.
I wish it could be under different circumstances. You heard the report from our Julian Johnson. 15 agencies now on scene trying to gain control in Ferguson. Shots fired still. I'd like to get your reaction from what you're hearing.
Well, we are obviously giving our condolences to the family on this tragedy, and the community is outraged over this, but we are asking everyone to be calm, because it's not going to do any good for the family and for the entire community for looting and additional violence to take place.
All right, Michael McMillan, the Urban League president, on the phone with us. We spoke to some urban radio hosts, very popular, who've been trying to calm protesters out there in the wake of Mike Brown's shooting death. Both suggested that St. Louis has a race problem it has yet to deal with.
We definitely have a race problem that we have not dealt with to the degree that we need to as a region, and this is an example of that. The frustration of so many young African-American males and females in terms of their ability to find jobs, quality education, housing, and a total quality of life that we are desirous of having with them from the Urban League standpoint. So this is just yet, unfortunately, another manifestation of this pent-up frustration and anger that it continues to exist in our region.
Still, others might argue, Michael, that perhaps urban radio, other activists on scene, Al Sharpton en route, may exasperate the situation a little bit, inflame it even.
Well, I'm sure some would have that concern, but quite frankly, at this moment, we need to come together as a community and try to look towards solutions. I think Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network, the Urban League, the NAACP, the Clergy Coalition, and all the various other community organizations are working hard to try to bring some resolution, calling for an investigation so we can get to the facts by the St. Louis County Police Department and the FBI so that we can have justice and fairness for the tragic loss of this young man's life.
Will you be speaking with Al Sharpton?
Yes.
Have you spoken with him already?
No.
How about Mike Brown's family? Any link to them? Do you intend to talk to them?
Absolutely. We are definitely in the process of reaching out to them.
And will you partner with the NAACP?
Absolutely.
All right, Michael McMillan, Urban League president, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I suspect we'll be talking to you more in the days to come.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to go back to the top story. SWAT teams gearing up in Ferguson right now. Live picture for you. And there you see the SWAT team. All of this surrounding the fallout from Mike Brown's shooting death by Ferguson police. Much more to come right after this. Now we continue to stay on top of details surrounding the police shooting of Mike Brown. Tomorrow, another briefing from the St. Louis County PD. That's at 10 a.m. But even before that plays out, police may have more to contend with. The group Anonymous has inserted itself into this case. Our Chris Stanford has the very latest threat.
They're hacktivists that call themselves Anonymous and have targeted the U.S. government and large corporations. Anonymous has now created Operation Ferguson, encouraging the community to take to the streets.
We have to take ownership, and we, I'm not saying black or white, we as a community have to take ownership for this, and that is the reason why I'm out here, because I want to show my part.
Operation Ferguson tweeted Sunday night that Anonymous will only launch cyber attacks against Ferguson police in direct response to any police abuse of protesters. The group is also calling for local lawmakers to pay attention and take action.
And one of the things we should be asking for is full transparency in this investigation.
We talked with State Senator Maria Chappelle-Nadal, who represents the Ferguson area.
We're not hateful people at all. We're just hurt we're so terribly hurt because a young man who was supposed to go to college on Monday, tomorrow, will not be going to college.
State Senator Chappelle Nadal says she's already talked with some of her fellow elected officials. In Ferguson, Chris Stanford, News 4.
And let's get right back out to Julian Johnson, who is live from Ferguson. And Julian, right before the break, our live pictures showed SWAT on scene where you are. What else do you see?
Yeah, that was a SWAT team, Sharon. It seemed like they were almost more of a riot crew, though, tonight. There were several officers hanging off the side of their truck, much like they do during some sort of a hostage standoff that you'd see. But that sort of gives you the idea of exactly how serious this situation is out here. If we kind of take a look to the skies, you'll also see the police helicopter that's been out here circling throughout the night. As I said, this turned violent after some people apparently threw, according to witnesses, some people started throwing bottles at officers, and those officers started firing some rubber bullets back at them. So this command center is where officers are sort of getting everything together, getting their plan of action together so that they can go out and again sort of gain control of everything that has gotten out of control in the city of Ferguson. Sharon?
All right, Julian, thank you. Stay with us. We'll get back to you as warranted. And take a look at this new picture, folks, of the Quick Trip on West Florissant. Heavy damage of that convenience store that indeed appears to have been looted. Let's get back to our Brittany Noble, who's on scene in Ferguson. And Brittany, I understand you're standing by with someone there.
Well, I am on near 270 and West Florissant. Again, we left that area near Canfield because we felt like it was too unsafe. Now, these two guys joined me. Gino, he drove down here, and also Chris. I want to introduce you to these guys. Chris, you just stopped by because you wanted me to know what was going on West Florissant. You just came through that area. What did you see?
Basically, there's people running in and out of stores with rims, in and out of like car part stores, just handfuls of stuff. Just everybody running in and out, in and out, in and out.
Tell me what businesses are being hit. What did you see?
I don't know what businesses. I just know down there I seen a bunch of rims going out. I seen a bunch of cans of oil in people's arms, and that's about it. And then, well, other than the cops, I don't even know how many different municipalities are down there.
But you saw a lot of police officers.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, thank you so much for your help. I appreciate you. And then you, Gino, I know that you didn't even go down in that area, but you showed me your Instagram feed. You showed me some video from inside the Quick Trip.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about it.
I mean, they just vandalizing the city for real.
I mean, what were they doing to that Quick Trip?
Turning apart, breaking into it.
Okay.
Stealing everything out of there.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for what you're telling us, and I appreciate you. And I will continue to stay on top of this developing story and try to bring you the very latest developments. Sharon?
All right, Brittany, thank you. And other damage reports we should mention are coming into our newsroom via our KMOV Facebook page, our Twitter feed. We are working to confirm those. Much more after the break. Thanks, Kristen. And let's go live back out to the scene in Ferguson, where we've seen a lot of police activity tonight. 15 agencies, reportedly as many as that, on scene. As you see, a sea of police vehicles there. We've seen the SWAT team as well, K-9 units, all of that on scene to try to get things to restore calm in the Ferguson area. All of this centering around the Mike Brown shooting death by Ferguson police yesterday, and there has been unrest in the streets earlier tonight. Candlelight vigils that were planned quickly erupted into violence. We've seen at least one store confirmed being looted, a Quick Trip in Ferguson, and there are reports of many more and other activity in the area we are working to confirm right now. But again, as you see it there, live pictures, Ferguson, police, other agencies, as many as 15 on the scene right now, trying to restore calm and keep people in some kind of order in the streets of Ferguson. Much more on that. Our reporters continue to be throughout the area. Even our own live truck tonight was bashed in, windows bashed out. So we'll have much more on this coming up. We'll be back right after a break. All right, now let's go to witness Robert Cotton on the phone, and I understand you are there on the scene. Robert, tell us what you see.
I walked down to the Quick Trip that has been looted, and there was a guy pulled up with a pickup truck, and they're trying to load the U.S. Bank ATM machine up, and someone came by and started firing shots, so people ran. As I was walking back towards Solway, the Sam's Market, where the incident allegedly occurred, they in there, they've taken everything out of there. There's people walking out of there with a handful of steaks, cases of beer, cases of soda, liquor, cigarettes, lottery tickets. All of the hair salon places that sold hair, they've taken every piece of hair out of there, busting windows, they're setting their dumpsters on fire. It's just, totally crazy. And, there's millions of dollars being lost to these businesses, and they don't care. They just feel, hey, the police ain't stopping us, we're going to do it.
Robert Cotton, our witness on the line there. And Robert, it sounds like you are describing widespread looting tonight as we continue to look at the live pictures. 15 police agencies, as many as that on scene, the SWAT team we've seen. Tell us about the police presence. You seem to be intimating that police are staying back for now.
Right now, the police are taking a stance. They're asking other units to come in and give them assistance, and they're asking them to respond in riot gear. They've moved the crowd back some, but they are not really aggressive. Channel 5 News is on the corner of Solway and West Florissant, and the crowd would not let them leave. They're actually sitting on top of their vehicle. So a photographer and the reporter are trapped. They said, don't let them leave. They gotta film this. So they're sitting on the hood, on top of the roof.
All right, well, that's a desperate situation you're talking about there. Obviously, we're News 4, but we're all in this business together, and we'll continue to monitor that situation. But again, police, it seems that you are saying, have taken tactical measures but have not moved in aggressively right now. Now, earlier, our reporter Julian Johnson, Robert, talked about some shots fired even in the middle of this. Are you hearing anything about that?
Yes, there's multiple shots being fired away from the scene. And as police hear the shots, they are running towards the shots. But again, the commander is telling them to, don't leave the line, because you're going into the neighborhood where it's completely dark. You can't see. The police helicopters in the air, but, they can only see so much. And no one is hit at this time. I do know one young man who tried to kick the window out of a business, cut his leg.
All right, Robert. Well, we do have to wrap, and we'll take a quick break. But again, it looks like police and all of Ferguson in for a very long night. We'll be right back.
This is News 4 at 10.
Continuing coverage of the Mike Brown shooting death, peaceful protest turned violent tonight in Ferguson. What was supposed to be a candlelight vigil has turned into chaos tonight. That video, among others, into our newsroom tonight. Protesters looting the Quick Trip on West Florissant. Dozens of police agencies, as many as 15, have now descended upon the area, and News 4 has live team coverage of, frankly, what has turned into a mob scene in parts of West Florissant near Canfield. News 4's Julian Johnson is in the middle of a sea of police activity, and Julian, bring us up to date.
Well, Sharon, since the last time I've talked to you, we've heard yet another round of gunshots out here. So that tells you that police still haven't gotten quite as much of a handle on things just yet as they want to. We've seen the SWAT team gearing up out here, other officers getting their riot gear, riot shields, masks, everything like that put on. And Sharon, you talked about the rioting that's going on and the looting in some of these places. Let me bring your attention over here to this target. This target is in the plaza at the Boulevard here at the corner of Lucas and Hunt in West Florissant, and they have security of their own that's sitting outside this target. There's an Aldi's here that's been shut down, lights off. There's also a Sonic out here that has its lights off. Try to not bring any attention to themselves at this point. But it's just unique to see that Target has taken it upon themselves to put a security crew outside their store to prevent any of the things that you and Robert were talking about, with people coming in there and just taking whatever they want out of the store. So again, police, this is their command center right here that you're looking at right now. They've had, again, crews out here all night trying to get a handle on this. We're obviously going to stay out here and get you any updated information as that becomes available. Sharon?
All right, Julian, stay with us, because it seems like from this vantage point that police are getting their tactical response together, but not actually making any aggressive moves.
Well, with that SWAT team, we saw them gear up and take off. So there are some people that are actually leaving the parking lot. You're right, a lot of it, though, it seems like they're just sort of gathering here, getting their plan together, and then sort of heading out. Some cars have been zooming in and out, so we're not exactly sure where they're going to. But yes, we have seen police make more aggressive moves.
All right, Julian Johnson for us tonight. Julian, thank you. You'll stand by. Meantime, news of Saturday's shooting in Ferguson, it spread quickly on social media, and for many people across the country, it has been their primary source of information. News 4's Chris Stanford has been talking with people in Ferguson about how they're being informed. Chris?
Sharon, I talked to a young woman who says that she witnessed this shooting and then immediately saw the explosive reaction on social media sites like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. The story has gained so much traction online that Mike Brown, Ferguson, and Ferguson shooting are trending on those social media sites tonight. Pictures and videos from the scene of the shooting have been flooding social media this weekend. So many videos have been posted of the crowds and of the police response. There have been pleas for peace, posts of anger, and calls for action. Users are also posting rumors and speculation. Now, as powerful as social media can be, I also talked to a few people who told me that they're getting their information simply by word of mouth from their fellow members of the community. Now, we've been moved back a couple of times for safety reasons. We started out in the Canfield and West Florissant area right next to that Quick Trip, and then were moved back out of harm's way. We were then moved back again after we were warned of possible threats on our safety, and now we find ourselves here at Interstate 70 and Lucas and Hunt at a Circle K, and we're glad to be safe right now. Reporting live in North County, Chris Stanford, News 4.
Happy you are, Chris. And indeed, one of our own news crews, our vehicle was bashed up a bit, the windows busted out, but we can report all of our crews at this hour, they are safe right now. That cannot be said for other crews throughout the area. We're working to confirm that. Meantime, at the core of the community's outrage and a police force on the defense, there is a family, remember, Mike Brown's family, demanding to know so much more about how this happened and why he lost his life. His mother, Leslie, devastated, spoke with News 4 just hours after her son was shot dead. Our News 4 Brittany Noble was right there with her. Brittany.
Well, Sharon, I'm out here, 270 and West Florissant. I want you to look to the right of me. You'll see all of these buses here. It's a group of people that came from Hot Springs, Arkansas. During their trip, they said they needed to go down West Florissant, but because of everything that's happening there, they've set up camp right here on this parking lot. Again, this is 270 and West Florissant. I also have another media friend. He's actually the son of one of our KMOV photographers. He told me he just got an interview with Mike Brown's stepfather. He said that the stepfather is very disappointed in the way that some community members are reacting to Mike Brown's death. So I will continue giving you the latest on what I see here, and hopefully I'll be able to go back down West Florissant just to get an update or a sense of what's going on there now. Sharon.
All right, our Brittany Noble on scene there. As we said, she spoke with Mike Brown's mother on scene yesterday. Very emotional interview. We will process that for you and get right back to you. Meantime, there's the NAACP of St. Louis County. They say they are launching their own investigation tonight into this shooting. County NAACP President Esther Haywood sat down with us last night. She insists the NAACP will do everything in its power to get the details related to this shooting from Ferguson Police and St. Louis County. But right now, as the situation escalates, there's definitely fear and chaos in the streets.
It's a frightening thing to think about what might be happening behind this. With all the youth out there tonight and their little friend is dead, and they had no business calling in 100 policemen. I understand they called in over 100 policemen, and they have riot gear and everything there. So they're anticipating big things.
Also tonight, civil rights activist Al Sharpton is en route to our area. He says he's already spoken to Mike Brown's family and plans to be here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, Sharpton is calling the shooting, quote, very disturbing, but he does add he wants a fair investigation.
If anybody have any information about what happened, keep a copy of it, but turn that information over to the investigation so they have the full disclosure of what took place.
County Executive Charlie Dooley also monitoring the Mike Brown case. Dooley was right outside the Ferguson Police Department shortly after police held that press conference this morning. Dooley urging protesters to stay calm. Right now, we continue to monitor the situation very closely. The Department of Justice, the FBI, also monitoring this investigation, and live pictures. You see it there. The SWAT team geared up. They have gone out. They've been dispatched through parts of Ferguson, and there are at least 15 police agencies on scene, multiple vehicles, a sea of vehicles, the K-9 unit, all of that, and our crews are throughout the area working to get the latest details on this situation. You can also go to KMOV.com. Many people are sharing their photos with us on KMOV's Facebook page. Much more, of course, on News 4 this morning. That begins at 4:30 a.m. Let's hope for calm overnight.